All right. All right. So anyway, so I pretty much gave you the projected expectation for the next class. That is in 2 weeks. If you let me show you the. Let me just get into the yes, the workshop 1 of 3. This is pretty much is our grant workshop program development template. So with this, basically, remember before I said, you have these questions that you have to answer, record them. What is the problem? What does the data confirm? There has to be something that is very specific that you can point to. It could be environmental. It could be, it could be housing. It could be whatever the problem is. What will happen if we don't address the need now? So it has to be something urgent, which everything at this point is. And again, because of COVID, if you get into figuring out a system like civn is doing for providing masks and disinfectant and food and COVID testing, and civn has developed this program and they have it written down because that's what they've been doing. But now I know that they have things that they've been doing that are not updated. So grant writing is you start with something and maybe you're still doing, well, you should still be doing the same thing a year from now, only in a different capacity, and hopefully you've grown. So you are always updating what it is that the problem is and how it's affecting the community. So this worksheet, again, there's gonna be 9 and there's gonna be 9 segments. This is the first one. And we show you what the approach. You should show statistics that support your responses. So when you're writing your own, when you're dictating your own information as if you are in an elevator to give a pitch to somebody before you hit the, I don't know, the 50th floor, you should have your numbers ready. You should say, and while you're recording it, of course, if you write them down, you're able to just briefly say, we are helping X amount of families, X amount of Latinos, X amount of Blacks, X amount of Asian. We are supporting so many elderly. We did so many tests for COVID. Whatever the numbers are, you want to have them there so that they can be represented in your narrative. Some data is better if you represent it on a table. That's also a good idea to consider. But the narrative of what the table contains should always be compelling. And the only way to do that is you answer these questions. You answer these questions with this approach. What you show are items that support. You quote authorities. You cite any positive, similarly situated outcomes. So that means that you've done your homework. You don't go into a situation where you don't know if anybody else is doing this. Maybe they're doing it, for a lot longer. You need to be out there understanding the community so that you know where your services are best used. So when you are approaching the need, whatever you bring in can't be duplicated, and that's why the approach shows these items here that I am reflecting to on your screen. So you tell a true and compelling story. I always tell the story about this nonprofit that surprised me amazingly. I worked with them. So I always tell the story because they're called the Nehemiah Wall, and they are in Bethlehem, Texas, and the founder is a chaplain and very involved in helping women coming out of jail. And one time, she called me to read a letter to me that she was sending to somebody for funding, and she also asked me to come over because their organization had paid me to help them with grant writing and other regulatory stuff that they needed done. And so she called me and said, "Hey, Eliezer, while you come over, I have this check for you. Can you listen to this and tell me what you think?" And so she began to tell me, she read this letter that I was like, oh my gosh, I never could have written a letter like that. It was just so compelling. It just really showed the heart of what they're doing, helping women exiting the jail system who have no place to go to survive into a situation so that they don't go back. And just an amazing letter. And I was just, I was thinking if I gotten paid to write that letter, she would have shamed me if we compared it, because she used her heart and she understood that what she needs to do is to really show that you know your stuff, that your material is backed up and you've thought things through. Now, this is again going to be for the next 2 weeks. Everybody's going to get this worksheet, and your homework is going to be to write your problem statement. Now, write as much as you want. It's better to have extra and take out than to have less and have to add. And sometimes when you have more, you have more of a better chance of asking, why did you put that in there? And then it might be something important that you should focus some attention to. So it's important for you, again, recommended, you slowly respond to these questions. And then have somebody type them for you. Again, we recommend that you use statistics when you respond to the questions above, that you quote authorities, you cite outcomes somewhere else. If you have them, if there's nothing, it's okay to say, this thing is not being monitored by anybody. We really need to get in there and see what's going on. I love it that CIVN is doing COVID testing and that they are just all about wholesome, healthful ways of getting things done. So that, I think, sells right now in COVID, and I recommend that anything that you could do that shows a spark of brilliance, we're doing this with COVID so that we can help to make sure this sticks, and that, and we can lower that it's not a curve now, it's just a rocket. What are you doing towards that effort? However you believe in COVID, you need to consider that our society has changed because of it, and you would be, if I'm a nonprofit out there looking for funding, I'd be looking for ways to put COVID related data and narratives and expenses towards that problem in any of the grants that are coming up, because that's what grants are being given for now. From my perspective, everything is because of and as a result of, and there may be some city money. You align the needs presented with whatever the money is there for. You and them, you're like dancing a waltz. You do this thing together. Whatever they want, you give it to them. They're gonna pull. You're gonna just like before. Whatever they want in the response, they want money for something. Don't say, "Oh yeah, I think that it'd be great to paint a wall." No, they're probably looking for something that's gonna save a life. So align. Focus on the main problem. Focus. Easy. Spoken about that enough. Demonstrate your awareness that stuff that's happening around you is there, what they're doing, what they're not doing, if they're succeeding or no. Demonstrate that you know the players out there. And the best way to do this is by collaborating with other organizations. One of the things that CIVN is working on is setting up its organizational chart so that they can establish a chart that shows how they're getting things moving from one place to the other and all the collaborative support that they have. That's very important, and you can showcase that. That's a great thing. You could use a chart, or you can seek letters of support. All I'm going to say about letters of support is when you know people out there who believe in you, what you do is the rapport that you have, you don't tell them, can you write something, a support letter, a letter of support. What you do is you have a rapport, you ask them, would it be okay if I drafted a letter of support for you to look at and edit? Because we're trying to get letters of support for XYZ. So you send them a draft and you tell them all the great things that you're doing, but from their perspective, and you don't boast, but you showcase. And they should feel good about adding something else up that you may have forgotten, that is more personal, that you can't provide. and then sign that letter, and they send it back to you. That's how you get those letters of support. For whatever work you're doing, you need to let people know, and the people that you let know, the more complex is their existence, if you will. If they own, their dental clinic, if they own their little supermarket somewhere in the corner, whatever it is, that's good. Okay, whatever it is that you are showcasing, you are able to convince someone if you touch on all of these items. So this is the first one. As you can see, it tells you look for statistical data. You can go to it's easy, go to the government, get somebody that is good with looking up stuff. Get a team, please. So data that says, yeah, we're serving this zip code. This is this is the median income. This is what's going on in this, whatever's going on in there. I'm just gonna briefly go over this. We're going to be going over the writing goals. So next, the 3rd of this month, we're going to be going over how you write goals. In general, goals are general ideas that you want to accomplish. And there's some basic examples. The difference between goals, this is, how you process, how you set up the goals. Now, these are objectives. Objectives are specific, they are timed, and they are quantifiable. So that's the difference between a goal and an objective. So the 3rd session is going to be on objectives. And then again, we'll give an assignment on that. And this is for you guys, and we'll have some we're going to ask you to work on your objectives using, this information. And you can write it here. Okay, objectives, hold on. I think that stuff that's on the top belongs down here, actually. So I'm going to fix that before you get it. The strategy, something that is awesome. Collaboration is, king. But you may have something other. Program activities, what is it that you're doing that is making, waves? Whatever it is that your activities are. Just figure out a way to describe them simply. Sometimes when you describe something, just simple, we have volunteers that do XYZ to support, ABC. Simple stuff, but convey always the need, the heart, the why you do it. It should always be on everything that you write. Program measurement, how will you measure it? Well, if you have objectives that are quantifiable and in a timeline, then by those timelines that you set, you should have a response. Sometimes you don't get the results that you want. So the program may have suffered a detraction, a lowering of support or reach, but there might be an underlying situation, COVID, for instance. So doesn't mean that you always have to say, oh, everything went roses. No, I mean, we started to do this, but then, I know that CIVN worked through the pandemic when it started the first time. And, so that's something that a lot of nonprofits kind of like step back, because what are you going to do? You can't talk to people. You can't be out there, right? So now it's a different situation that we're entering in. So even if you set up a projected timeline and then something crazy happens, so long as you can describe, we didn't meet our goal because of this, however, this other thing happened that is worth looking at. So anyway, all that to say, your program measurement, when you measure it, even if it's a negative thing, you should be able to turn it into a positive. If it's all roses, by all means, hey, we serviced 20 people, we fed 20 people with $1, that kind of stuff. That doesn't happen. You should be able to know how many, you should get to the point at some point that you understand that depending on what it is that you're doing, how much it's costing, how much per person the dollars being stretched because of all the multiple services that collective groups are providing. I digress. Program measurement, it's a good exercise. I like that because it makes you look at reality. You predicted something, it didn't happen because the projection was like not really that good. Things were not thought through. But if you begin to work on this, you'll get good at it. This is not something you do once in a lifetime and forget about it. This is something you're going to come back to, and you're going to make your writing better. And you're going to write a grant about something, use some parts from one grant, and then use some parts maybe from another, or have to create some new ones altogether. So every piece of writing that you do is work product that you should treasure and save it. Have copies in paper and have copies online that you can access. Like email yourself the stuff. Anyway, I digress. 6, I have 3 more to go through. Okay, there's gonna be, for the 7, the timeline must submit a detailed timeline work plan. So we're gonna be working on providing you with different tools for that. There's one that my daughter swears by. This is sort of like what it looks like. If you're here, by this date, this is going to happen, et cetera, so that we can get to whatever the point is. But there is online, there's a monday.com that my daughter swears by that I really like. So I think that when you have a timeline and several people working on it, you can put them all in this template, on this tool, and it can help. Spending plan, again, this is very basic. This is for the program. If we're going to get into that, but more in detail with an Excel spreadsheet. So I'm just going to say that's basic, and sustainability is how are we going to maintain this going after this money is gone. So that's the workshop for the 9 weeks that are coming. We are today on the problem needs justification. So what we do when we do this is, I'm going to put Marcus on the spot. And Marcus, I know that you have 30 programs running. But I want you to speak to me about the main problem that civn is looking to fix, and what the need is, and justify your solution. It doesn't have to be 20 pages long.
No. Right now we're doing the holistic health fairs, which was a 6-month program that I wrote a grant for. We did not get the grant that I wrote it for, but we ended up getting a loan from writing the same paperwork. So this 6-month program is a environmental health fair, a holistic health fair. And so what we're doing is we're going into low-income areas, multi-complex areas, apartments, senior living centers. We were planning just to do it in Dallas, but somehow it ended up being all over the country. I don't know how that happened, but and so what we're doing with it is we are comparing food desert areas, low-income areas, high crime areas, areas with low access to healthcare, to this COVID-19 pandemic, other health disparities going, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, COVID-19. We also are going into mental health this year. We have a mental health fair going on in Houston on December 12th. We're also going to be doing we're going to be the first organization to do the 15-minute COVID-19 trial. So we're going to be doing that in Houston. We're working with a famous doctor. And so we're doing a lot of things to, our objective is to make the neighborhood healthy again.
Marcus, let me interrupt you.
Yes, sir.
The segment that I want you to focus on, and you just did, you helped me to make the point quickly. The question that we are doing is, what is the problem that you're trying to solve?
The problem right now basically is the health problem.
So what is the health problem?
The health problem right now is COVID-19 and all the underlining, what they say, the underlying health problems that are really killing the people. So they're saying it's COVID-19, but it's because of all your underlying health problems. So you got diabetes, you died from COVID-19, but it was because of your diabetes. Or you died from COVID-19 is because of your high blood pressure, you know? And so all the underlying health issues, whether it's even asthma, you have a breathing problem. You know, you die from COVID-19, but you had underlying issues. And
All
so
right, I want
uh, we're trying to find solutions and cures for these underlying solutions in these poor neighborhoods.
I understand. I'm going to keep asking you simple questions. Just give me one sentence answers.
Right.
Okay, I'm looking at the problem statement needs justification from the workbook. The next,
problem state needs justification.
yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I'm just going through questions that are right there. Why? Okay, why might it get worse?
Why it might get worse? And so that's a great question, and that question basically is answering itself right now because the COVID-19 is getting worse and worser. They're about to shut the country down again.
Yes.
And it's going to be destroying small businesses. Nobody's going to have any income. And so that's another reason we have this program from this free grant writing classes.
Yep. So what is the best solution for your corner of the world?
The best solution, I think, is for organizations start to focus on health, right along with what they've been doing, because CIVN never stopped what we originally planned to do. We just put health into it, which was genius, I would think. And it wasn't that it was genius for us, it was genius for nature to let us know that, look, y'all health is not what y'all think it is, and you can be taken out at any age in 2020
Right.
for having underlying health disparities.
Okay, so how does your program seek to solve one of all these needs, which is in your case?
One thing our program seeks to do is stop the spread of COVID-19 with the COVID testing and the COVID-19 social distancing program that CIVN has in the health fairs.
Okay, okay, very good. So I thank you, Marcus. So I just wanted to point out that when we are looking to answer these questions, we may have a storyline in our heads. So we should focus on direct answers in support of whatever your cause is. So again, in 2 weeks, any kind of writing, it could be a nice paragraph. It could, it could be 3 pages. It's the quantity is not an issue. Is the content of your data. Are you working on something that is so compelling that somebody is going to be opening up their wallet and giving you their credit card or their debit card to make a donation for your cause because what you're talking about is so on the spot, I got to do something kind of thing. It may not be, but that's how you need to treat your writing. That at any moment, anybody will get a copy of this one letter that you wrote for somebody else to donate something that they eventually, didn't, but then use the same letter and it'll work on somebody else. So all that to say, 2 weeks, whatever writing you have on that, the CIVN admin, these are gonna be sending some emails out and managing the data that's coming in. And what we'll do is take a moment to review of anybody who wants to share their problem and needs statement. We could critique it. I don't believe in criticizing. I believe that we should always critique. And I do appreciate Shai Woodson's solution is for everyone to stay home. Communication among community members is okay. Good. I'm glad that you're excited to be here. We're excited that there's people here from different places, and coming from different places, we have different perspectives. The one thing that puts us together, I believe, is because we believe in doing something for others. So that's why I'm excited to do this for CIVN and with CIVN and through CIVN.
Eliezer, we have about 9 minutes left. This is an hour. Do you think you will be going over an hour so I can let people know that
No,
might
I'm
only
actually
have an
done.
hour?
No, I was gonna ask if anybody has any questions, and that was
Okay.
gonna be the end of it.
Okay. And after they ask their questions, I have one thing to say. So
Sure.
I'm finna put my phone on mute.
All right, and all I'm gonna say before anybody is I'm going to be updating. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be updating the material. I noticed something that I need to edit in the workbook worksheet. And once I do that, which will happen before 5 o'clock today, I'm going to send this to the administration ladies at CIVN, and they're going to send it to everybody that put their email in the chat. Okay.
Interviewing Obama.
Sorry, somebody having a question?
Okay. Can I say when someone was Mary asking about information on a DBA, the 501c3, because that's what they need in order to write a grant. That is a separate service that CIVN Eliezer offers. It's a what we call a fundraising thing. So if anybody, if you listen to Eliezer, he talked about, if you listen to what he's saying, he's telling you, before you start doing a 501c3 and a DBA, you need to know what your organization is, what your purpose is, and your goal and objective, what you're trying to do. And so he's actually telling you what you need to do to even start, before you even start a 501c3 or before you start an autos or incorporation, before you start doing any paperwork, Eliezer is telling you what you need to do. He's telling you you need to have an objective, a goal. Okay. And so, so he's telling you what you need to do to have a nonprofit. See, the thing about a grant and writing a grant is everything. It's telling you how to budget. It's telling you how to do the paperwork. It's telling you what you're going to do, how much money you're going to spend, where you're going to put it at, who is your target audience, where are you going to get the money from, who is your donors. It's everything. So he's basically telling you how to build a 501c3, how to do it. So before you do any paperwork, you have to go through this class. So a grant is a business proposal. He's telling you everything, how to do everything on it. So by the time you finish this grant writing class, then you'll be ready to get a 501c3, do your articles of incorporation and different things. That's a totally different service though. But by the time you're done with this class, you'll know everything. You won't just be jumping to something head first with no knowledge. When you finally get your 501c3, get your articles of incorporation, you ain't gonna have to call no lawyer. You ain't gonna have to spend no money and ask nobody about this or that, or ask no advice for somebody who might be passive aggressive and not really like you and won't give you the right information. You're gonna have all the information because CIVN is open. We're not hiding anything. If you find grants, bring them in. We'll show everybody how to do them. We're looking for grants. We're going to be sending you grants. We're showing you how to develop your organization from nothing, from an ideal right now that you have.